Hey guys, this is Liz with L1 Automotive Diagnostics and Programming. Today I'm going to be doing a cam and crank correlation on a 2020 NV200. So why would we take a cam and crank correlation on a known good vehicle? One day you're going to have a vehicle just like this sitting in your bay and you're going to be like, okay, all of my data has brought me down to it might be out of time. You can use this known good cam and crank correlation and to prove your theory or disprove your theory. So what are we working with today? Well, if you haven't already noticed, this is a Picoscope. It is a 4425A. Comes with everything you see here plus lots more goodies. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and get logged into MotoLogic to get our service info. Once we get signed in here, we're going to select year 2020. Then it's a Nissan. And we scroll down to NV200. Okay, after you have selected your vehicle, go on the top, you'll see OEM table of contents. Select that. Then you're going to scroll down until you see circuit diagram. Click that circuit diagram link, then it's going to pop down and then you will see engine. It's labeled as B. Then select EC engine control systems and then engine control system. Alright, now that your diagram has pulled up, we want to go and find our connections. So let's scroll through here and look for our cam and crankshaft position sensors. Alright. And there's the IPDM, that's not it. There's a part of the ECM, but it doesn't look like it's there. Keep scrolling down here. There they are. Alright, so we have the camshaft position sensor here. If you look at the 1, 2, and 3 on the camshaft sensor, it correlates the ECM on 32, 30, and 31. Then right next to it also shows here a crankshaft position sensor. And those are labeled 1, 2, and 3. If you follow those over to the ECM, that's 72, 70, and 71. So I've already looked at where the location of these camshaft and crankshaft sensors are. They are not an easy to access location. So the easiest way to access these connectors is actually through the ECM. So let's look at the ECM connectors. There's 3 here, E16, F10, and F11. So because they're alphanumeric, if you scroll down, you'll start seeing B's, B17, we've got E7, we're looking at E16 first. So there's E16. These are all in the 100s, and if you remember, our connectors are in the 70s and in the 30s. So I scroll back up and I look, well, the next connector is F10. So go back down, let's start looking for your F's. There's E43, E72, there's F10. This says this is a black connector, and if you look here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows in, you'll see 32, and then right underneath it 31 and 30. So we know which connector wire we're looking for. Down here they're labeled in numeric order. So 30 is our ground. Then 31 is what we're looking for, the camshaft position sensor. That is actually a red wire. So red on 31. If you need to write that down, that's a good indicator for you for later, so you don't have to keep going back and forth. And then we also need to go back. I go back up. I say, okay, it wasn't on F10, so let's go to F11. And that's where I should find my 70, 71, and 72 connector. So I scroll back down here, and they were pretty close to each other. And that is a brown connector. So you, again, find your number, 70, 71, 72. It's a little bit further, but still close to the middle. Then scroll down and you will find 70, 71, and 72. Again, 70 is the ground, then 71 is actually your sensor, 72 is your power. So if you want to write those down, that color is white. So now let's go over to the car and connect to the PCM. Alright, so now we're at the vehicle. We've identified where our PCM is located. And we're going to go ahead and pull apart one of these connectors for you. I'll do my best to show you. So now that we got one of the connectors, you remember gray was not one of our colors, but here's what one of the connectors looks like. We'll remove that one so we can get to our next one. They are an in order connectors. Make sure that clicks all the way down. Now we have the brown connector out. You can see on the back here, you can't actually really get to any of the wires. You can't really back probe into any of that. So there's actually a simpler way. Let me grab a handy tool over here.
Go ahead.
So I went and got some side cuts and a specialty disconnect tool. Basically what we're going to do here, because there is a retaining zip tie, we'll need to remove that. So I'm just going to snip that off there. Then if you notice, right here, get it held really easily for you, there's two little clips here on either side, if you see those. So it takes a little bit of skill and maneuvering here, but if you put some good pressure, forward pressure on here, you're going to take and push this out, and it should hold itself open. There, I got that side. Now we're going to get this side. I let go of that one side. Like I said, take some skill, push that over, keep that pressure, back pressure on there. There you go. I think that comes right off, just slides right forward. Lay that to the side. Now you can easily see the back of your connector. I'm going to grab my easy hooks, and we get these from AES Wave. I'm sure you can get them from other retailers, but these are our favorite. We don't ever back probe on the PCM connectors. We always just pierce in. It doesn't hurt the wire at all. All it's doing is overcoming that insulation. So let's look at our connector. This is our brown connector. If you remember from the diagram, we're looking for a white wire. This one just happens to be fairly easy to see. We do remember that it's right below the black. You can always, look back at your wiring diagrams and make sure that you are understanding. Use it for reference. So here is it's right in the middle. We're going to grab that wire. So we're going to go ahead and pierce our white wire right here. Just set it in there. Got it nice and pierced. Alright, so we've got both connectors connected up to our PCM. Yes, we do have a sensor that is up top, but because we're already here at the PCM, we're just going to go ahead and see what the PCM sees.
Hold up, is this getting kind of confusing? Well, if it is, you guys can head over to l1training.com, and I have hundreds of hours of advanced level training. We cover diagnosis, module programming, EEPROM, immobilizer, keys, board repairs, all of the great stuff you guys have questions about at l1training.com. Most of these classes are done live, so we have these Q&As where you guys can ask questions, and I answer them right there. Head on over to l1training.com and sign up, and we'll see you guys there.
This is also a VVT engine, so that is variable valve timing. We need to go ahead and disconnect the solenoid so that it is not phasing while we're trying to get a capture. We want a good baseline of the engine. So now we're going to go ahead and go back to the PC and start getting that set up, and then we'll bring everything back over. Alright, we are back here at the table. I've got the laptop all set up, got the Pico software pulled up. I've connected the Picoscope. Today we're going to be using the 4425A. This is a newer scope from Pico. It has a newer style connector, as you'll notice, some LED lighting. All of our leads are still color coded, but they do have a different connector. And what's nice about this connector, if you use their amp clamps or any of their probes, what you'll find is they will auto ID and actually power the device for you. So what that new connector means for you is no more dead clamps, no more 9-volt batteries laying in a drawer, no having to run to the store because yours are dead. So I have the Pico 7 software pulled up here, and what you'll notice when you open the software is you actually will get a lot of guided tests. But since we're familiar with this program, basically what we're going to do is just close that out. And then we're going to set up each of our probes. Alright, so now you'll see over here, these are your channels A through D. It's a 4-channel scope. We're just going to use the first 2 channels, A and B. For cam and our crank sensors are both Hall effect type sensors. So that's going to be a 0 to 5 volt scale. So to make it easier to view and to manipulate, we're going to just put both of those at a 10 volt plus or minus. So now that we have our probe set up over here on the left, we're going to go and change our time base. And what's really awesome about this scope is with if you can go up to like 500 milliseconds per division, that's like half a second. It captures a lot of data, but what's really cool about the scope is you can get in once you've captured, you can get in there and you can look at a very clear picture. It has a very high resolution, allows you to see things over a long time span. So if you're looking for an intermittent issue, you can pick up on something that's an anomaly out of there. What's really nice about that is you might have a dropout or an intermittent issue that you might pick up with a larger time base. All right, now that we have our laptop all set up, it's time to hook up our leads. So, well, Velcro. We have our blue connector to our crankshaft, which is our red lead. Then we have our camshaft, it's on our black lead. Then you can couple your grounds together. If you find that you have a lot of noise on your signal, you can always go back to your sensor grounds instead of going to the battery. Right now I think I'll be just fine, so I'm just going to connect to the negative side of the battery. Alright, so now that we have all of our leads hooked up, we're going to go ahead and start our capture. Once we do that, we're going to run to the vehicle, turn it on for just a few seconds, then come back and pause our capture. Alright, so now that we have our capture, we're going to go over one page so we have a full screen of the capture. Then we're going to go over here to the zoom. We're going to try to zoom in and get 720 degrees of our crankshaft rotation. So now that we have our waveform up and we've already zoomed in to see 720 degrees, basically we're looking here at our crank signal. That is the first missing tooth. Then we go to our next missing tooth. That is going to be 360 degrees. Then we go to our last missing tooth on the screen, and that is our 720 degree mark. So we could sit here and analyze this all day, but this is a known good after all, and we don't have anything that we're comparing it to. So we're just going to save this for now and use it on a later diagnosis. So now let's go up to our save, just simply click it. Then we're going to give it a file name. This name should be something that will be searchable in the future. So we're going to type in Nissan NV200 with the MR20 DE engine. This is a cam crank at idle. So you can either put in your VIN or you can do the make and model. I am just going to select for the make and model. It's easy to just type in, start typing the vehicle, model, same thing. So we'll select each one. If there's a specific generation you can add that as well. But for us, we're just going to add 2020. This transmission is a CVT. The test conditions were at idle. You can go over here And you can put the engine code in, which again is MR20DE. This runs on petrol, has no secondary fuel. It is a 4-cylinder engine, is configured in an inline. Capacity is 2.0. Then we're going to go down here to the channel labels, and we're going to get labeled channel A is going to be our crank. On the channel notes, I'm going to put where we connected, and that was number 71, white, at the PCM. Then we're going to go do our cam. And again, this is a Hall effect sensor, and it was on 31 red at the PCM. These are both known good. And in our notes, we want to notate that we have unplugged the variable timing. Whoop, solenoid. And then we're simply going to click save, and it saves the file for us.